I've done, this was the 20th one I've done.
Oh,
And at the beginning, I did it for like, I think the first 10 was like every other week. And now I do it every week. And so it's like, been about half a year or so. Yeah, it's turned out pretty well. Yeah. So we should be going live any moment. We'll just, it takes a little while for everything to kick in. So it always, helps to just chat about whatever in the meantime. Looks like
sure.
it is live on YouTube, but no one's watching yet. And then Odyssee's starting to go live. So yeah, as soon as we get a couple people on, then we'll run the intro graphic and go on into it. But yeah, yeah. So I hope they're not like working you to death over there. Like, I hope they're not just like cracking the whip, like work harder. You know?
Yeah, actually, I'm hearing this every week.
Yeah, work hard.
But I mean, honestly, we kind of get used to it already, like because
Mm-hmm.
um, it's like the third year, like when we kind of late, so
Mm-hmm.
constant situation,
Yes.
worries.
I'm sure there's going to be like a pull request in to limit your bathroom break time, and then like you can't just like work more. You can't do it like that. All right. It looks like we're live on all the platforms. So hey everyone. Hey to everyone who was watching the last one. Hey to all the new people that might be watching. Let me just hit this intro graphic and we'll just get right into it. So hey everyone. Happy Friday or happy re-Friday for the people who already saw it. I have the wonderful pleasure of being joined by the one and only Ivan Shumkov, Dash platform developer. How's it going, man?
Shabbat shalom.
Yes, Shabbat
It's
Shalom to
great.
you as well. It's yeah. When was the last time we had you on the podcast? A long time ago, right? It was like years ago, I think.
Last summer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, yeah. I mean, that is like a year ago, right? It's been a little bit of a while, but yeah, it's been a crazy year since then. How's your sanity held up?
Oh, a lot of things went since this time, and I mean, the probably the most important milestone was the testnet release
Mm-hmm.
last December. It's really it was really tough, and like it just like worked like 16 hours a
Mm-hmm.
day or something like this for months. It was hard, yeah, yeah. But we did it, and it was exciting
Yeah.
actually.
And now you get to just relax. You don't have to work hard at all anymore.
No, 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 no. Now it's much worse. So. But honestly, we kind of in a race, and we are close to the finish.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
I'm really excited that this year we'll be able to release all this the lot of work what we did and share this with people and provide the solutions for the businesses and developers
Yeah.
and users. It's great. It's great. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah. Let me adjust this. Some people are saying that you're coming in a little quiet, but I'll just do a little adjustment. And yeah, how's that? How's that, studios? Is it a little better? Well, I obviously can't say until Ivan says something. Say something, Ivan. Let's see how it sounds.
Okay, something
Yeah,
one, two, three.
that seems a little bit better.
I see the crazy control panel on the bottom.
Yeah,
That's curious.
it's funny. Yeah, the joys of live show, but the fact that you bumped into the red zone briefly means you're good. Studio says better. Thank you. Yeah, I've had to do some adjustments recently for the audio thing, and in the future, because shout out to Kodaks for key me into this like OBS Ninja thing, which should work way better than Jitsi for streaming in and stuff. And I'll have to actually use that next time. Right now, but it was like too short notice, and I didn't want to try something completely different and just have it all get wrecked and stuff.
Yeah, probably I should have external microphone.
Yeah, I mean, every setup is a little bit different, but it's, I guess it's on me to like make sure the whole thing works. Uh, so let's just start jumping into some of these questions. And I should remind everyone that, the time for to get questions in ahead of time is over. If you want to ask questions, I might ignore you if you don't throw some dash along with it. So go to cointr.ee/the desert lakes, and then if there's a big pressing question, you ask it through there. And I'm gonna paywall Shumkov today. He's behind a paywall. That's how it works. No questions from poor people. Just kidding. No, I always read live chats anyway. But anyway, so the first one, I believe it was Strophe who asked this one, was we have just seen the first dev job positions posted on the site, I guess, the Dash site. How many more devs could platform team use? What would they be working on? And how much work is it to onboard new devs? So that's 3 questions, really. So first off is, how many more devs do you think could be useful on the team? First off, how many people are working on a platform right now? Do you know?
Yeah, I do. At the moment, we have 6 people in the team,
Mm-hmm.
like me, Anton, Kostya, Javid, Pascal,
Mm-hmm.
Alex, and actually, and Balu. Yeah. Balu is our Scrum Master.
Mm-hmm.
It was 6, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and regarding the second question, how many people we can involve in our work, and it depends, because usually hiring people is more like long-term solution, and you need to spend some time of onboarding,
Mm-hmm.
so this kind of delay you a bit. Uh, for now, we have this open job like position, the role, uh, and we're going to hire people one by one,
Mm-hmm.
because onboarding like several people in the same moment, we cannot afford it right now, because we just need to sit and code.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so our plan is just, if we'll have like 2 3 decent candidates this year,
Mm-hmm.
it would be awesome. It would be awesome to hire them. We'll see. So our plan, like, hire one, see how it goes, hire more. Because if we'll take like too many people, it could delay the release, basically, because we need to spend time to knowledge sharing and all this
Mm-hmm.
stuff.
Yeah. So that's like for this
Should,
year.
should be balance here.
Yeah. So what about long term? Like what about after MVP is done and we don't have to worry about that deadline and you just then could you, I mean, at some point there's a law of diminishing returns, right? As far as hiring too many people, but how many would be the most that, like, let's just say at the end of this year. So we had was it starting with 6 and then maybe 2 to 3 more people. And so we're up at 9. Let's just say at the end of the year, like maximum of 9. Let's be clear, right? But like past that, let's just say 2022 and beyond. For platform, could you do, how many more could you think you could take?
Um, we have a lot of plans after MVP, and there are like a lot of pre-complicated areas, which needs, like, I would say, even kind of sub teams or something like this, because we need to introduce virtual machine for smart contracts.
Mm-hmm.
We need to continue to improve our protocol, introduce features. We need to work on network sharding,
Mm-hmm.
to implement, like, to make it scalable. Uh, the I mean, more scalable,
Mm-hmm.
and also we are going to introduce decentralized identity standard, as
Yeah.
well. These are authorization, signing, delegation, and all this stuff, and like a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
And uh, if you have enough funding, like why not just having more people? So I don't see the limits here.
Yeah.
I saw a pretty huge teams in the crypto industry. For example, the team, I don't remember the name, uh, the guys who working on Cardano, it's
Mm-hmm.
like about 100 people there. You know,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's like an army.
yeah. So it's I think it just depends on our budget.
Mm-hmm.
Just depends on our budget and our plans.
Yeah, I mean, and that's I guess that's a little bit have to be a plan for Glenn. I'll have to have Glenn on and talk and see how many people he could fit in, how many budgets, and then because there's frequently, I believe this treasury cycle as well. There's frequently money left on the table, and of course, it's with the way the trade, they're not the coins are not created if they're not spent, which makes everyone's dash more scarce, therefore more valuable. So it does cost people money to fund stuff from the treasury, right? And so, but at the same time, I think that once we hit that spot where we start to, where we don't have to worry about MVP and slowing down, you know, the process with onboarding or whatever. Once you don't have to worry about that, it'll be basically like I think everyone should basically do like a developer slush fund proposal for anything that's like left in the 10% to just throw into that to just get more and more monies for more developers and stuff. Of course, personal opinion, some other people might be like, no, they need less money, they need to live lean or whatever. People have all kinds of different opinions.
Yeah, honestly, I don't believe that we want any deadlines after MVP because
Mm-hmm.
I mean the product always like you always develop it. There is no like final state or something like this. It's,
Yeah.
you always I hope we won't be in such rush like as not as at the moment. I hope
Mm-hmm.
and and we'll have more time, to plan and do things more properly, to write documentation, better specs, and all this stuff to have time for like for onboarding and so on for scaling with the team. So yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I'm thinking that probably the demands of the people, so to speak, like right now, MVP is what people seem to be like wanting. It's like a specific release, and I think some people might be like the trade off might be maybe total cumulative development doesn't need to be maximized. It's the release date of this specific release has to be maximized. But after that, probably the reverse would happen where people are like, we don't care so much for a specific release, but it would be great to just be doing a lot of work and cranking out a lot of stuff and, doing as much as possible, even though the actual produce quickly, obviously quality stuff, but produce quickly rather than release one thing quickly. It'll kind of like
Mhm.
switch like that because like there's a the crypto space is evolving so fast, and just seeing the kind of different things that are being built out there and everything, it's kind of like a race to build all the cool stuff. Which, um, I guess in the old days, Dash had the unique advantage of the treasury, but now it seems like everyone has some kind of a giant war chest to like hire everyone with, and again like the whole 100 Cardano developers or whatever like that. It's it's a crazy thing to sort of compete with. Although my personal opinion is when you have that much like money to throw at people and now that many people, I don't know how efficient those 100 developers are going to be necessarily because I mean obviously if you're actually watching the GitHub commits and stuff you can see, which I have not been watching, but I'm pretty sure that like well, why don't we build it this way? Why don't we do that? Why don't we? And then eventually you burn through a huge amount of money because you had the money and you wasted a lot of time that you could have been doing a lot more like focused. But anyway, that's just conjecture.
Yeah, I think that that the more people, it's you can just simultaneously to work on different areas. Basically, like as I mentioned already, like
Mm-hmm.
you can put efforts to the virtual machine and make it like really cool because you can put like
Mm-hmm.
5 people just on this task, and I mean it's a pretty huge thing, and you can, I don't know, like, so for example, to have like a lot of people on
Mm.
R&D,
Yeah.
so you will find the better solution, and eventually you'll have the better quality of your product, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's not just the 100 people sitting and working on one service, something like this. Yeah, it won't work like this.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I mean, when you have more people, you are facing these different problems, like how to organize their work and so on. Like, and I think we are ready for that. So it will be
Yeah.
just our next, I guess, our next goal for the next year. To scale
Mm-hmm.
properly the group, and I believe that the groups like Dash Incubator
Oh yeah.
will grow more, and I feel like some decentralization in this area, like to having more groups
Mm-hmm.
each working on different areas, has value, and I believe Dash Incubator will grow a lot, and I want to say thank you to Anzi and
Mm-hmm.
all this staff who is working every day on this. And like comparing what I saw like 1 year ago, they did a lot. Now in Discord is like about 600 developers there,
Yeah.
and they're doing really cool stuff. Like recently, the incubator dev helped us this investigation on um, secondary indices for documents
Mm.
in how to explain better. Okay, so basically right now we cannot provide the proofs for the document set what we responding with.
Okay.
Basically, you can prove that this document in a state exists, but the range of documents what you query is correct. You
Mm-hmm.
don't have such proof, and basically masternode could just they need some information, some documents, and you can prove that actually there is something missed there. And for that, you need to put the secondary indices, the fields, what you use to query your documents, your data. You need to put to the state tree as well. And it's not trivial task. And recently, the incubator developer helped us with investigation, and it was pretty cool, to work together
Yeah,
on
for
this.
sure. And that's one of those things that I think is going to be increasingly useful is informing the direction that platform needs to go in. It's easy to have one idea, a grand vision, but it's when people start building a bunch of different apps and then they're like, "Oh, it doesn't do this. Why doesn't it do this?" And then they go, "Yeah, oh wow, I didn't know we had to make it do this. I didn't know this is how it would turn out." And then, it's kind of like at the end of the day, eh, crypto has been like a natural resource, kind of like a speculative resource, and that time where you can get by just like having a coin that kind of does something and people, oh, this seems cool, and they buy it and they hold on to it and it works. Those days are going to be over pretty soon. And I think it's going to, at some point, it's going to be like a product forward space where it's like, well, what apps are built on it? What can you do with it? And so, then it's going to be, let's say, like the incubator team is and other people just cranking out a bunch of apps that work on platform, and that's kind of going to inform the whole rest of things. So it's good to have that sort of connection between those two kind of things. And it's also been very fun trying to like tell people to use like use Dash or buy Dash or whatever. And it's kind of funny because like for me, like the end user perspective, I use it, but like when you're trying to tell people like, oh, why should I use Dash for my company? And then it's like telling people how to like use copper wiring for your company. It's just like, okay, well, what do I do with copper wire? Like the infrastructure isn't there. It's like, oh, it should be inside like the buildings and stuff. It should come with the product. It not just like buy a bunch of copper and like, what do we do with this now in our office? You got to start sticking it in the wall. And so it's starting to take shape a little bit more where you have, like actual products like the Dash Pay wallet is like really cool. And from what I've been testing with it, and that at that point, it's something end users actually get to see.
Yeah, yeah. And actually, you just mentioned that incubator guys building a lot of dApps, and the NZ basically filled the area which was empty, because I mean we need to work on ecosystem, right? We need to work on dApps, because at least we need to understand what features we need to provide, basically, right?
Yeah.
The platform, and now guys just helping us to to figure out the shape of the feature set. And now we have like a ton of requests what needs to be done, and like the list of these post MVP features is just growing. So yeah, this is really nice that they even started to help us in this protocol stuff as well. That's what I wanted to emphasize.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating to see all the stuff. But so we're talking about MVP, and that might be a good time to talk about to go on like a very basic level for the people who have been sort of paying attention to news announcements, but they're not intimately familiar with platform. So back in the end of 2019, the platform was released on Evonet, which was I get like an internal DevNet, but like a publicly accessible one. And then at the end of 2020, it got onto testnet. And, hopefully this year we're going to get a mainnet. Now, first off, what what actually got released as far as like the part of infrastructure on Evonet in 2019, and what got released on at the end of last year on testnet was, and architecturally speaking, and then I guess after that we'll go on to like what needs to be finished before, what actual like needs to be built and finished before what's a to-do list before mainnet launch is good to go.
So in the end of like the Evonet release was,
Mm-hmm.
I would say, mostly like proof proof of concept, basically.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, I mean, we provided the protocol and the features, like you can create the publish data contract, you can
Mm-hmm.
uh, broadcast state transitions with documents, you have identities, uh, you can query your data, uh, and it but the underneath, it was just like MongoDB, and
Mm-hmm.
the data wasn't secured,
Yeah.
so we didn't provide any proofs, and the basically it was like mostly like I would say MongoDB cluster,
Mm-hmm.
basically, and um, and the idea was that we can iteratively test our functionality and deliver as soon as possible something to developers and get some feedback as soon as possible. And before even its release, uh, in summer 2019, uh, we faced some problems in our design uh, related to state transition processing.
Okay.
We realized that actually we need to process our state transitions in order. So basically, we need some consensus, and we end up with second chain. I think you remember, right? The platform chain, and we did a lot of changes at the end of the year, like 2019. So basically, we reworked Drive and many stuff before Evonet release, like in the 3 months or something like this, and figured out the design and overall, the new one. And the next year was just to basically put engine inside our car.
Beside the into the
Yeah,
shell.
yeah. And we got like identity funding, secured identity funding, the some features for protocol. We reworked protocol, added like document timestamps and other features what the devs from Discord requested. Reworked some DPNS a bit and like introduced versioning and all this stuff, and made some infrastructure work, like we created a test suite to the platform. It's like the tool what you can use to run against any network to figure out if it work or not, which testing all features there. And now we like heavy using this in our CIs and during development. Yeah. So and releasing on testnet, it's like the next stage when we are we wrote the code a lot, right? Introduce new features, and now is the time for kind of maintenance to put more stability there and reliability. So the plans for this year is accomplish light client. It's basically to provide the proofs for mobile applications and other clients who read the data from platform, and introduce proof of service. Also, we had to pay some technical debt, so we made some workarounds before testnet release, and with state tree, and also we didn't have the proper local network for development and for CI, so we have kind of fallbacks. We didn't have quorums and all the stuff for local development and for our testing. And now we spend like about a month. It was pretty hard to make it work, like in like the core in the record test mode. And Mainnet Bootstrap, you're familiar with it, right? The tool to start the node. Now is version 19. The next release, what we're going to what we'll see next week. We'll release the Mainnet Bootstrap will be able to set up the local network, the complete network on your local machine or in CI with 3 nodes in quorums and everything. It will work with the same logic as the DevNet or testnet. So you will be able, to work locally with all this stuff. It's pretty important for us. And also, we made some improvements in our CI. It's also infrastructure thing. We previously used Travis, and it's like super slow, and there are many bugs. Like, for example, we couldn't restart the builds, even or something like this. So, and Strophy, he did a good job, did a great job to help us to migrate to GitHub Actions, and now our CI is like work twice faster, and there are ways how speed up it even more. And for development process, it's super important because you make some changes, and then you need to wait. Like previously, you had to wait like 40 minutes to see result of your work, and it's not just annoying, but it's just slowed down the whole development process.
Yeah.
So with the new 19 release, we're gonna, to speed up all the open process and like and feel much better, So it was like, this 2-3 months was like we just paid the technical debt mostly
Mm-hmm.
from the past year, and and bug fixing. Yeah, so now like 30, maybe 40% of our time is spent on bugs, and actually it was the purpose, right, to release a
Yeah.
testnet just to fix bugs. That's the main idea. And uh, coming back to your question, like
Yeah.
what the rest what needs to be done as well is, I already mentioned the light client, right, and
Mm-hmm.
the proof of service. Also, we're going to uh, like improve our state tree. So now there are some workarounds there.
Mm-hmm.
For example, we even duplicate data at the moment.
Yeah.
Probably nobody knows about it. And the guys who work on the Merc, it's a library. It's in a database, basically something like RocksDB or LevelDB,
Mm-hmm.
and Merkle tree on top of it. It's really performance, pretty cool, and we use it to store our state and build the state tree. And guys made some improvements, what we requested. They just finished, and it's really cool to work with them together on this. And yeah, now we can get rid of of these workarounds and
Yeah.
make our state tree more efficient. And yeah, it's not like optimization. It's the thing what will be super hard to change when you're on mainnet. The problem is that the migration later when you're on mainnet, when
Yeah.
you don't have ability to wipe data, like you can do it on testnet and change things, radically.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it is kind of trade-off. You need to figure out, okay, then for now, we can do it like in a month, but after mainnet release, it will take like half a year, something like this. I mean, it's just an example, but yeah, it's something like this.
Yeah.
So it's
So there's some key things that absolutely have to be gotten right
yeah,
right
yeah,
now, otherwise it's going to be terrible in the future.
yeah, exactly. So I mean, the core, the base logic must be in a in a decent state. So that's why we invest in now time to protocol improvements,
Mm-hmm.
like more like the efficient way to store data, for example, because right now we're using CBOR to encode our documents, data contracts, or like all data what we're storing in the state,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not really efficient because uh, it's like it's basically like JSON but in a binary format, so it contains the keys as well.
Yeah.
Like comparing with the how core stores the data, it's just the ordered values, right, of the
Mm-hmm.
data, and so we are going to get rid of this duplication of these keys and store data in more efficient way, because after mainnet release it will be terrible to fix, and we will gain like we calculated like about 40% of the space, to reduce it, so it's less fees, less the less payments for hosting for master nodes, and so on. And it's a it's a big difference,
Mm-hmm.
and also some security improvements for protocol, like um, mm, that we're using JSON schema, right, for our data contracts, and basically JSON schema, it's like user code,
Mm-hmm.
because and we run this user code on master nodes basically. So and we need to be really careful that there is no in like vulnerabilities or something like this in this code, because um, and we realized that in in some combinations of validation rules what you can define, or regular expressions what you can use in this JSON schema, you can basically stop the chain. It's so so basically nodes won't be able to process these documents in data contracts. It's like it calls re-DOS attack. Basically, when you form the regular expression in a way that it just takes like forever
Yeah.
to execute. So a lot of stuff related to security and reliability what needs to be done now, because later on, like of the mainnet release, it will be pretty complicated to implement and to implement this migration. Also, I mentioned proof of service,
Yeah.
which is required, right? For we need to make sure that master nodes provide the service, the platform service as well, that they
Yeah, of
install the
course.
platform. And I believe we won't see any like malicious behavior, and we don't care about it. We mostly care about the platform services installed properly, you know, and users will get the proper user experience, like operating making the queries to the network and so on. Because I mean, in case it's important, because if, for example, the some some number of master nodes, like the for example, 30% of master nodes didn't install the platform services, the platform will operate because we have majority. But clients supposed to do a lot of queries, tries to query the data to
Yeah.
get the result, because they will get a lot of unavailable data there, something like this. So yeah, proof of service, it will be something. The first iteration is pretty simple. Basically, it's like they have kind of port check right now and participation in DKG on layer 1, right, in the proof of service. And for layer 2, it will be something like this. So we just check that DAP installed, drive installed, and the platform chain is up and synced.
Yeah.
That's it for now. We're gonna improve it later, of course, but for now it's just to make sure that platform installed, basically, like
Yeah.
this.
Just to make sure it's running, on a base
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. Also, we're gonna work on the upgrade process, just to make sure, like we need to play with two scenarios when how the first upgrade is version 18 of the core and MN Bootstrap. We're gonna rename it to Dashmate.
Dash
Is
mate.
19 Dashmate is 19 release. Dashmate because we have Dashman, right? And we really wanted to keep this reference because it's already familiar. The masternode owners familiar with this tool, right? To start the masternode, and we assume that that MN Bootstrap like more user friendly, so that's why it's Dashmate.
Yeah. Definitely. We got a question in like the live super chat thing here. Oh, it's a big one, so a little bit of was cut off. But basically, it says, in order to shorten onboarding time for new platform dev hires, why not use the incubator as the quicker on-job interview process instead of a prolonged and expensive one? So basically, get developers involved in the incubator, find the best ones, and then just like hire them like right away without a long process. And there's a couple others. So first on that one.
That's exactly how we plan to do.
Oh,
So
good to know.
yeah, actually, when we are talking with candidates and just the people questioning about like having job in our team. We just haven't, but probably you want to do some bounces first and like an
Mm-hmm.
incubator, do some PRs, and we can see. And actually it's pretty obvious and natural way, and the we already have a guy there in incubator what we would love to see in our team, probably. And I mean, it's the right approach, and we already discussed it with Andy many times, and yeah, it's
Yeah.
how we're supposed to do. But when we're talking, about onboarding, it's not just the interviewing. I
Mm-hmm.
think interviewing is not the thing. What's sorry,
No, it's okay.
my dog just decided to play with me.
Yeah, it's a nice dog.
so so uh, the mostly I think that the majority of time required just for knowledge sharing, and to understand how the things are built, what our style of coding, all this thing. And usually developers become like really efficient just in a month or two of
Mm-hmm.
working, because I mean the system is pretty complex, and you need to like understand how things are connected there, and which part is responsible for what, and so on. So it's more like, I would say, it's about knowledge sharing.
Yeah, that's for sure. So the second one's a little. I'm not sure how familiar you are with Ren, but this is does Ivan think how Ren and renVM were developed is a great model for platform. I don't know. Are you very familiar with Ren?
Actually, not. It's a layer two solution built on top of Bitcoin, right? To provide the smart contracts there. Am I right?
Um, I'm not sure. I think it was. I seem to recall it's like Ethereum based, but that's a different story entirely. Well, let's just
Then I mixed up then.
yeah. Well, let's just jump to the other one though, which is why is there so much excitement with
Sorry, guys.
tenderdash's potential?
Oh, that's interesting topic. So the history of using Tendermint is pretty interesting. So as I mentioned before, in 2019, when we realized that we need the second chain
Mm-hmm.
to process and store our state transitions, and so basically the idea was that we need to process our state transition in a specific order. And
Mm-hmm.
the usual approach here, right, the common approach is just to put state transitions in the blocks and process block by block. So basically you have the second blockchain. And we started to investigate the possible solutions in the industry what could fit for us,
Mm-hmm.
like where we can utilize our LLMQ, the quorums, to to sign basically the state transitions and get the consensus, right, the
Yeah.
agreement on validity. And we considered many solutions, like Avalanche, or even threshold relay, like in the Polkadot substrates, and like the many of them. And one of them was Tendermint.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, we saw a lot of problems there, and even in the PBFT consensus protocol, what Tendermint is using. Um and But Tendermint provides the way to integrate application uh, in a quick way. So basically, Tendermint is just the consensus engine, and you can implement your protocol like consensus logic, custom logic, in any language you want, and connect this application through sockets with Tendermint. So Tendermint just provided the kind of low-level consensus and execute your functions from your applications. So basically what we have right now, the drive, is basically this application, this consensus logic, and the separate service tenderdash, which basically implement all this low-level stuff like peer-to-peer communication, all this consensus, validating all this stuff. But the protocol logic, like what is state transition, what the structure of state transition, how they're supposed to update the state, and all this stuff, it's implemented in Drive. And we were able to connect our JavaScript, the protocol and Drive was implemented in JavaScript, and we were able to kind of keep the stuff what we already had, the implemented protocol, and connected this consensus engine. And it was the quickest, I would say, the quickest solution at that point, because we had just like 3 months before Evonet release.
Yeah, of course.
And we consider it the Tendermint as kind of temporary solution that we probably change later. So it's kind of pluggable consensus thing, what we could replace later to something better, if we decide on it. But the working more closely on Tendermint, on integrating the LMQs there, because the validator's logic a bit different in Tendermint, and how they provide how they sign the data, basically sign the blocks, it's a little bit different. And they use the ADDSA keys, which is not aggregated. So in each block, there are like a bunch of signatures, and blocks pretty heavy because of that. And having LMQs, we kind of improve this PBFT protocol in a way that we can utilize our BLS signatures and have only one aggregated signature for the blocks. And we even can rotate these validators to increase security and reliability for the system. I mean, to switch validators between the quorums, like for now we are thinking about like every 15 layer 2 blocks. So it's like every minutes or something like this. Validators will be changed, and also we introduced the thing to we call it core height consensus.
Yeah.
Basically, we need to make sure that all results during the block processing layer 2 are deterministic, and all nodes provide the same results. It's like in layer 1 chain, right? And but having 2 chains in using the state from layer 1 is pretty tricky, because the chains are asynchronous, right? And it's kind of, they're kind of consistent, but eventually consistent. So we need something like checkpoint or something, like on which height we should use, like the correlation between the layer 1 height and layer 2 height.
Yeah,
basically.
Of course.
Yeah, something like this. So, and it helped a lot. So working on Tendermint, we basically improved some fundamental problems there, and now it doesn't look like so. So like we feel much better about it, and we have a lot of ideas how we could even improve it more. And we recently the SAM made some investigation on SPBFT consensus algorithm. It's like it's kind of like PBFT, but using BLS aggregated signatures. something like this. So it become much more efficient. And the one of the greatest improvements is light clients, because the light clients is a weak point in Tendermint, because in classic Tendermint you need to sync all headers basically to verify layer 2 headers to verify the data, the data what you provide. And I'm sorry, малышка, а ты можешь собачку отвезти в другую комнату, просто она мешает. Sorry.
No, it's
So
good.
yeah, but and you know, and blocks appears like every 10 seconds, so you need just to download in blocks pretty heavy, so you need to download a lot of data just to verify the results of your queries. And with BLS signatures, when we sign just like the miracle root of the state,
Mm-hmm.
Light client become like super efficient, because you can provide just the data itself, miracle proofs to ups to ups, we call it up hash,
Mm-hmm.
miracle proofs, and the signed up hash, the miracle root. That's it.
Yeah.
With each query, so it's become super efficient. So probably we could make a big difference in Tendermint community, accomplishing this work and share this this new stuff with this Tendermint and Cosmos community as well. So we're still not sure that we stick on Tendermint, and but it looks much better now with tenderdash.
Yeah, for sure. We did get a comment that I want to read before. There's a couple of live chat questions, but one time says, "Hi Joel and Ivan. Bob's rocket ship slide was exciting to see. Like the MVP mainnet is finally in sight. Hope it'll all go smooth without any bugs or problems or attacks. It'll be a huge advancement for crypto." Signed, One Time. Thank you very much, One Time. Very nice of you. We
Thank you.
did have a few people who said like, "Wow, seems amazing," when they're listening to all that Tendermint talk. But a couple of questions were, first, can Tendermint do any type of computations?
Actually, it's not responsibility of Tendermint. Tendermint
Mm-hmm.
just provide the consensus on your transactions, basically on your state transitions.
Okay.
Tendermint doesn't know what's inside. For Tendermint, it's just the blob, just the data, and the actual the protocol, what this data means, what the structure of the data, how this data should change your state, and so on. It's actually what we implement in Drive.
Mm-hmm.
So for now, um, we are not have any basically we don't provide any computation thing, but it it depends. Actually, you can consider data contract as computation, because you can so basically writing JSON schema, all these validation rules, you kind of using the DSL, the programming language, basically to define the scenario how your documents should be validated. So basically, it's just the limited. It's just limited computations.
Yeah.
And to allow people to allow people to write some custom logic in programming languages like JavaScript or like Solidity or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
We planning. We call it like data triggers.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we realized it like 2 or 3 years ago that data contract won't be able to cover all cases, and there are at that moment we considered some case with our logistic company.
Yeah.
We tried to figure out the data contract, and we realized that there are some logic what we cannot implement. and we need some some computation there on
Mm-hmm.
chain. So data triggers will allow you to attach some custom logic, some custom validation logic to your documents, like the actions on your document. So basically, you can say, okay, when you create documents profile, basically, like for example, please run this function, and this function will execute the code and return like true or false, like it's like is this document valid or not.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't need to write all your application in Solidity or JavaScript or whatever, which could be like pretty complicated. So you can still utilize the simplicity of the data contracts, but you will be able to connect some simple like your custom logic like to your data contracts. Also, I see the value in smart contracts as well. And when you need uh, to update state in consensus programmatically, for example, to mint tokens and like and so on, like a lot of cases, right? For DeFi and so on. And yeah, what was the question? I forgot.
It was about computations, but there was a
Yeah, yeah.
um,
So it's not responsibility of Tender Mint. It will be
mm-hmm.
implemented in Drive. Uh, we are conducting the investigation together with Dash Incubator to figure out to find the better virtual machine what we can use for smart contracts.
Mm-hmm.
It's we already working on like on design part, but it's post MVP thing,
Yeah, of course.
and yeah, we need to find the better solution for now. We're going to provide virtual machines for Solidity and for like WebAssembly smart contracts
Mm-hmm.
for sure. And yeah, and actually, data contracts will be eventually compiled to smart contracts as well,
Mm.
because we realize that we need to process the data contracts as in virtual machine as well,
Mm-hmm.
to make it like bulletproof and secure, and to calculate fees
Yeah.
properly, because you understand this, right?
Yeah.
Because the fees must be depend not just on the size of transaction, but on the complexity of data contracts, on the operations what we need to perform to validate this data contract. So it depends on the number of indices what you use for your documents and so on. Yeah.
Yeah. So Spencer was asking, um, is there a compatibility with the rest of the Cosmos ecosystem? And he says, and what about Cosmos WASM? I don't, a little bit above my pay grade to understand that, but I'm sure you do.
Yeah. The main thing like regarding the compatibilities interoperability. Oh shit.
Interoperability.
Interoperability.
It's an
Yeah, yeah.
annoying word to say for sure.
Thank you. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and the Cosmos Hub started to work like 2 years ago on the called interblockchain communication protocol. They created some foundation. It's like a separate organization at the moment. They already accomplished design last year, and they call it IBC.
Mm.
So idea that IBC comparable blockchains will be able to interchange tokens, basically like
Yeah.
the tokens transactions, and provide the proofs of validity and so on, and also and also the result of execution of smart contracts as well.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, its main goal for actually the Cosmosm, or yeah, Cosmosm they call it, this virtual machine
Yeah.
for Cosmos Hub. Sorry. Yeah, the And this thing will be implemented as part, the interface for IBC will be implemented as part of Tendermint. So we will get it for free,
Yeah.
basically at some point. And we're gonna provide, it's also post MVP thing. We're gonna to implement kind of wrapped dash
Mm-hmm.
on platform chain. So it's called pegged dash. So platform chain will be peg zone for dash, and it will be like gates to exchange this dash with other comparable with IBC blockchains.
Mm.
I believe at some point Polkadot will introduce the implement IBC as well, and we will see solutions for Ethereum. It calls Ethermint or something like this. I saw it already. The peg zone for Ethereum.
Yeah.
So it will be possible to interchange the ERC20 tokens with Dash and so on. We will see it next year.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a ton of stuff still to be done. Um, since we already burned through a lot of time, let me just pick a couple of the more interesting questions that I sort of wrote. I mean, basically, I didn't even touch this big list of things because we had plenty of other interesting things to talk about. One thing that I think is interesting is the whole recurring payment kind of a thing, because a lot of people remember it's funny because I'm not sure how much platform team likes Evan these days because Evan came out with all these ideas and they're like, damn you, Evan, did you have to tell them it was going to do this too? And then so one of the original evolution ideas was a protocol level decentralized recurring payments to where I could just set up, I'm going to pay you $5 every month, and then my wallet will automatically send that to the username or whatever. And of course, as I understand, that's not an MVP thing, and it seems to be a pretty based on what I've heard some other developers talk about when they're trying to implement like a what is it a donation kind of a service on crypto that still allows people to hold their keys, that they're having it seems to be a difficult thing. So first off, why is it so difficult in cryptocurrencies to implement some sort of a recurring payment kind of a thing? And is how possible would that be to integrate? Because now that like platforms adding extra functionality, how hard would that be to integrate something, and kind of like what would need to be created for a recurring payment kind of thing to be in Dash?
You kind of right about like a lot of talks about the possible features what we can implement and a lot of ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we just like sitting like this and like please stop and just let us focus on the current stuff first.
Yeah.
And my life already divided into two parts, like before MVP and after MVP, and I
Yes.
really sometimes don't want to even think about what will be after, because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of stuff needs to be done now and we need to focus on this.
Of course.
And um, we didn't discuss, as I remember, since I joined Dash, we didn't discuss this functionality yet, at least with me. And it's a really cool feature. And from my perspective, the complication here, the problem is that you need somehow to delegate the rights for your your keys
Yeah.
to smart contracts, or for smart contract, or for some logic, or for some centralized service or whatever, in a secure way, which will allow you to which will use your keys basically to sign transactions and so on. And we have a similar problem actually, what we need to solve for data contracts,
Mm-hmm.
and for smart when for data contracts when we convert them to smart contracts. For example, uh, to allow smart contracts modify data created by users.
Yeah.
Because if it's a bit different paradigm what like comparing data contracts and smart contracts, because in case of smart contracts, smart contract has own state, and smart contract can update like its state like as like um, like all the data there, right? But in case of data contracts, the data belongs to users, not to data contracts. The data belongs to belongs to owner, to identities. So data contract owner cannot delete or modify the data, the user data. That was uh, the base ideas of the data contract. The data should belongs to users. So if we want to introduce the smart contracts, we need to allow the smart contract somehow to update the user data. So basically, user need to delegate the some basically some rights to this smart contracts to allow him to update this data, right? And we were thinking about utilizing the decentralized identity delegation approach for that. So basically, user will be able to create its kind of, I would say, it's sub identity or something like this, with limited rules. So basically, okay, so this identity can do only this and this, basically, and valid only for this period of time, something like this.
Yeah.
It's just a rough idea. We did not discuss it a lot yet, but probably this approach could help with recurrent payments as well. So it could be some smart contract, and the user will be able to delegate some rights.
Yeah.
To this
Which I could see how that could go poorly if it's done improperly, because the smart contract runs away with your keys and just starts sending money all over the place. It's like, no.
Yeah, but the idea of delegation, that the smart contract will be able to do only the specific things what you allowed. Yeah, but it's a really tricky part, and we need to be really cautious designing this system.
Yeah. Now, what about doing it in I guess, a different way where a recurring payment is not initiated, right? That you don't have that, but a recurring request for payment is initiated on the other side. So rather than I say, I'll pay you $5 a month, and then some smart contract sends, signs transactions on my behalf every month. How about instead the other person sends me a request, like an invoice every month, and all I have to do is go look on my phone, pay, and like, if I'm late, maybe I'm late, who cares? But like, at least I get the invoice every single month, like an automated recurring invoicing. Is that any easier to do?
It requires the payment request functionality what we have in our plans for like post MVP. And it sounds much easier. It sounds much easier and secure. But downsides here that you probably could be late, and for some cases, I feel it might be a problem. I don't know. For example, when you have something like subscription, or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, the subscription kind of a thing, that could be, I mean, there is a possibility that you could, just thinking, I mean, obviously I don't know anything, but it would be a possibility to just say, have like a wallet setting where you automatically approve requests from this user until you turn it off. So like, for example, let's just say you have your like landlord who approves. Of course, that could be very dangerous sometimes, right? But your landlord could approve, you know, could just keep on sending you requests, and you could just say automatically approve them unless I cancel them. And like it could be like a maybe even like a time lock type thing where, you know, if you don't respond within to the request within a certain amount of time, you know, then automatically approve it. So if you get the rent thingy and then a few days later you have not said yes or no, then it automatically pays it for you. But I mean,
to make it automatic pay for you, you at least need to like to open your wallet, right?
mm-hmm,
So to run this logic, but I feel it could be, some combination of these two approaches. So for some cases, the approach what you're talking about is which is much simpler and secure, right? Uh, will fit definitely. Probably for other cases like subscriptions, we'll have something with delegation, because we anyways need this logic for smart contracts on platform chain with
mm-hmm,
data contracts. Uh, Actually, subscription is pretty interesting topic, and uh, we had pretty cool ideas how we can improve user experience of using the platform decentralized applications, instead of kind of paying for each state transition fees. Yeah, and we will be able users will be able to pay basically for using this decentralized application to the developer,
mm-hmm.
and developer would have some percentage from this fees, and it's a whole new like area, like monetization of dApps. It's a pretty cool thing, and here subscriptions could be pretty cool. When
Yeah.
the dApp developer could specify, okay, I want to receive the payments from user every month, this amount, and users won't needs to pay even fees.
Mm-hmm.
Or we could consider the case then developer will prepay fees for users, and using these dApps will be for free. It's like it's more like it's more sorry, similar to the common approach in Web 2 when you pay for hosting, basically, right?
Yeah.
So developer pay for hosting, and there are many options here, and I see like a lot of value in this in this area. What we need to investigate and figure out post MVP.
Yeah. Everything post MVP. So
Yeah.
one more post MVP question, I guess. Um, so some people, in fact, I believe it was Fabio in the live chat. Hey, Fabio, was talking about tokens and about there's a lot of demand for token stuff on on chain, and so from my understanding, there's some opcodes being put into the next Dash Core release that would basically enable some sort of token, some basic tokens to be created. Again, there's not platform, right? Just like kind of like what Bitcoin Cash has, like SLP tokens. Now,
Mm-hmm.
so let's assume that that does happen and people start building, companies based off of like these Dash tokens. Like they start building like their business around them. And I remember Ryan was talking about in the past that platform could do what he called SLP tokens on steroids, like do a much better token scheme than kind of what's available there. So I guess that would mean that in the future, again, post MVP, in the future times of whatever, that there might be a revisitation of the token standard to make something a lot less rudimentary than like the SLP types. Now, if that were the case, and people already were relying on the SLP style tokens on Dash, how messy would that be to like migrate that to new systems. So like, you know, let's just say I create like podcast tokens, and like anyone who, you know, I just issue tokens to like, you know, loyal watchers, and then they get special privileges from that or whatever. And at some point, you know, the token standard evolves in the post MVP time of the future, when everything's flying cars and everything, we're all living on Mars and stuff. And so in that time, how hard would it be to then, would I have to just like abandon it and then reissue on on the new system, or would there be a way to migrate to a better system?
Um, Good question. Uh, when we discussed the tokens,
Mm-hmm.
we made decision that tokens must be on the platform chain, because just tokens basically is data, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
and data, it's a layer 2 responsibility, and we can do much more flexible things on layer 2,
Mm-hmm.
and and pretty cool combination with smart contracts and so on. And we made decision that tokens should be there. And uh, to answer to the question, like how to migrate from layer 1 tokens made with opcodes to the layer 2 tokens, we need to know how the final design of these tokens will look like.
Mm-hmm.
Because for now, uh, we have basic understanding how we're gonna do this, but it's not complete for now. So the idea is that um, um, it's pretty similar with credits. What we have, the tokens to pay fees on platform.
Yeah.
Idea that you just freeze dash on layer 1, and we call it like asset lock.
Mm-hmm.
So basically you lock dash, and then you can use this lock dash to mint tokens on platform.
Yeah.
That's how credits implemented right now, and how the pegged wrapped dash will be implemented, and also how these tokens will be implemented. So you can just
Mm-hmm.
log dash and mint tokens on platform. And when you if you want to go back and withdraw this basically tokens, you need to burn tokens on platform
Mm-hmm.
and unlock dash on layer 1. So this mechanism already designed, and it works pretty nice. We didn't implement withdrawals yet, for
Mm-hmm.
now,
Of
just
course.
locking. Yeah, it's a post MVP thing. I mean, withdrawals back, but they have like a pretty clear understanding how it should work, the whole mechanism. And I'm not sure how it's comparable with our opcodes approach.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have solution on top of my head how we can migrate it. So probably you just you you just need to to mint new tokens with
Yeah.
platform.
And so then you would lock up your SLP tokens and it just mint the
Yeah,
special
yeah,
ones.
yeah. Probably. I don't know. I mean, for now, I cannot answer this question. I will
Yeah.
think about it more.
Well,
But the tokens basically on platform is really cool thing, and we have already uh, two example applications. The README guy from Dash Incubator made two applications with NFTs in Minecraft. You saw this for sure, right?
mm-hmm.
And kind of ERC20 tokens, like fungible tokens as well. So, and it's we already can play with tokens basically. Uh, and one company that made the kind of virtual meetup platform. So basically, it's like 3D world with virtual reality,
Mm-hmm.
and the people like these avatars, they uh, kind of connect with each other in these spaces. It's like it's something like the central land. something like this, but it's like 3D for meetups and so on for parties online, and they're really interesting to utilize platform for NFTs, and we are making some POC right now. So probably they will be our launch partners, because I mean for NFC we even don't need any like special functionality, because our documents are they are already unique. It's kind of NFT already, basically.
Yeah, of course. Uh, there was a question that I wasn't, I didn't 100% know, so figured to pass that off to you. But about identity, about username transfer. So obviously, I know that usernames are separate from the identities themselves necessarily. Like you could have multiple usernames for one identity, but how basically after someone claims a Dash username, will it ever be possible to transfer or relinquish ownership of that name to a separate identity, not just like give over your private keys when you want to sell the username?
We're still arguing on this.
Of course.
I mean, there are like differing opinions. Like,
Hmm.
should this username be even transferable, or they should like ever stick to specific identity, and you just if you decide to sell your username, you need to basically to pass your keys to someone. Uh, I don't know. I mean, we still debating on this.
Yeah.
There are pros and cons in both approaches.
Yeah. It's a um
Technically, it's possible. It's really possible. Uh, we have a task like for transferring documents. So basically, you'll be able to change ownership of documents in your data contract to another user.
mhm.
Basically, something like there are many cases like selling NFT, or uh, in case of DPNS, where usernames is basically document, right,
Yeah.
in data contract. So this functionality technically will be implemented, but I'm not sure that we will allow this.
Hmm. Yeah, it's one of those things that's going to be a little um interesting with the permanence of like a username. Like, is that going to be a valuable thing that it's permanent, and or is it going to be more valuable that it's not permanent, and then I can transfer back and forth? Because, for example,
It is. I'm sorry. It's the same. It's the same about expiration.
yeah,
Like, I mean, it's this the things what we need to think about more. Like, will these usernames will be expired? Will it be possible to transfer them? We're still thinking about on this.
yeah, and that's one thing that's I guess it really depends on how like the payment system works, because obviously with a so like let's say I'm connected to you and I'm sending to at Shumkov, and it's like, all right, we have a little relationship going, and then you decide, you know what, I'm going to sell my username to someone else. You transfer it to someone else. I'm connected to you though, not the username, right? I'm connected to your identity. And so I try to send it the username, and it just says, "Do you want to reconnect? Do you want to connect to this?" And like, wait, didn't I already connect to him? And then so you like reconnect, and then I start sending someone else money who I think it's you, or
Yeah.
I mean, and the connection part is a little makes it, I guess, better. But like, what happens if you end up where there's like a way to send to someone without first connecting, and you just like someone has like the at whatever, like at baby giraffe, and then like at some point someone in the future says like, oh, you know what, Ryan's such an awesome dude, we love what he did and all that kind of stuff, I'm going to send him some money, but then someone else got that username later, and like that kind of stuff gets a little dicey. But on the other hand, having a username where you just like, I register at the desert lakes, and then at some point I like lose my keys or whatever, and so I get a new identity, and then I still want that username, but like, now no one's using it, and like everyone knows, I have to tell people, no, I have to like, it's the ones with the underscores, that's the one that I'm using, because the other one's no good anymore. And then it just like, that can be a headache. And like, I wish that would be unused for a while, expire, and then I could get it, and I could So yeah, I mean, I don't really know which side I'm on, on that one.
Yeah, yeah. The problem is actually that there are many use cases, and Dash Pay is pretty specific one.
Mm-hmm.
In many cases, when you want to use this DPNS as like usual DNS, to have a resolver for your DAP or your data or like your email or whatever, it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
But Dash Pay specifically has some requirements. Probably, one of the solutions what we discussed just to make the DPNS super flexible.
Mm-hmm.
So you will be able to specify the rules for subdomains, basically,
Mm-hmm.
how these subdomains behave, and so you will be implemented different use cases using the same system, name system. Uh, and the problem with Dash Pay and the expiration and the transferring, it's not the technical problem. It's mostly like it's mostly the UX. So yeah, still thinking about this.
Yeah, definitely a lot to think about.
Regarding losing identity keys, uh, you you won't be able to do this. So you will be able to recover it
Mm-hmm.
after MVP because we're going to provide some pretty cool recovery mechanisms.
Ooh.
So even if you lose your key, the trustees, some identities, what you can add as trustees, will be able to help you to recover.
Yeah, it's funny. I was writing, I'm like 95% done on some Medium article about how Dash is solving cryptocurrency's usability problems. And then the one thing I said that, this is a problem I described previously, but I don't know what the solution is exactly this identity recovery thing. And but one solution it could be is designating a couple of identities that are backup identities to get it. So it's like, well, now I get to say it's not just my idea, it's actually being done. So that would be, a huge thing because like, you know, like all the random seed words I've like written down everywhere and stuff like that. And then like there's every once in a while I get a little bit of like I'm looking through my backups. I'm just like sweat. Like I don't remember which one this is. I have to spend a day just plugging them in and like seeing which ones can I throw this one out or like, oh, like there's a little bit of that, but just the ability to just say, I wrote it down somewhere, but then I also like gave it to these two people. So if one of us screws up, we can just, you know, hit recover and like hit these two usernames and then just call them up and say, hey, Esai got a request to like sign the recovery transaction. Yeah, I completely lost, or like I lost my stuff in a house fire. Like that's another thing. Like you write down your paper backups, you have a fire and they get destroyed, and maybe you bought a crypto steel that's like heat resistant or whatever, but like maybe you didn't, or maybe your house burns down and you can't like get into it to like dig through it. Maybe you're just like, okay, I need to get back into my stuff. Can you guys please help me out? And yeah, it's pretty great.
This concept of the concept of the trust is pretty cool because I mean it could be not just people, it could be organizations
Mm-hmm.
which have the different authorization mechanisms, like are not just like SMS. It's not really secure, but it could be even social, like social mechanism.
Yeah.
When you just go to this organization, say, okay, please help me to recover, and probably it could be uh, some external services what we could recommend eventually as trustees when you register identity with Dash Wallet, for
Mm-hmm.
example, and you can choose one if you want, or ask your friends to be your trustees, and it's pretty interesting what you can do is this.
Now, as far as that trustee thing is concerned, the only problem I see is if it can't be changed, if it's permanent. Like, as in, let's just say again, this is a hypothetical. My girlfriend's getting mad at me for using this thing, but like, let's just assume years ago I had a thing and I was dating someone else then, and so I signed that person and let's let my significant other and my mother. I gave them both the backup keys. And then over the years, I break up with whoever, and then I'm with the current fantastic, lovely lady now. But let's just assume, heaven forbid, my mother passes away, and so now both of my backups like are no longer useful, and I don't want a vengeful ex to say no, I'm not going to give you access back to my stuff, and I don't want whoever ends up with my mother's keys or nobody maybe, and I want to say, okay, I want to switch those out. I want to get rid of those trustees. I want to add new trustees before I lose my keys, and then my recovery doesn't work.
Yeah, the idea that you will be able to update your recovery, the recovery options for your identity and trustees as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we were thinking to introduce some param like the threshold, like the how many trustees, so you can put like even like 100 trustees if you want.
Mm-hmm, of course.
And you can specify the threshold, how many the percentage, how many the trustees should sign it. And in order to change the recovery options, you need to have the signature from trustees as well, right?
Yeah.
Because it could be the bad guy who stole your key, right?
Yeah, of course.
So I think this threshold should solve that problem. So like, even if you have like 2 trustees, one of them should allow you to to change it.
Yeah.
Or it depends on you, how you specify it.
Yeah, because that would be funny. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if both of your people get compromised, but you still have your funds, but then like the bad guy says, "Oh, I'm gonna go restore it and use these 2," and I don't know. It's a little bit of an interesting. It's an interesting, I'm sure, complex thing, and of course, it's in the distant mythical land of post MVP.
I like this term.
Yeah, the post.
Actually, one more thing that's
Mm-hmm.
not just trustees will allow you to recover, but also recovery key.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with recovery key, we'll be able to change trustees even without trustees.
Mm-hmm.
So we will be able to solve this problem.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
That's,
Oh.
it was actually described in the deep what we published, the identities deep, but
Mm-hmm.
we decided to temporarily remove this because we are not going to implement it before MVP, and probably we will change our minds.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, in a good way, I think. Just
Yeah.
find some improvements there.
Yeah. So last one, let's just say, obviously there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done, and basically, what would you love to see built or worked on that by other people outside of Dash Core Group that you guys just don't have time to work on, and also for someone who wants to get involved in building on platform, what developer skill sets do you think are the most useful? Like, for example, coding languages, or experience in a couple things.
Oh, actually, a lot.
I'm sure a
A
lot.
lot of things what I would love to see right now,
Mm-hmm.
and what people need. Like, for example, transferring ownership of the documents.
Mm-hmm.
Also, are the most, I think, the most important is the virtual machine, integration of virtual machine to allow computation on chain.
Yeah.
And running the data triggers. And we already started this investigation, this incubator, as already mentioned. Also, we have a concept of ACL. So it's so you can specify the rules, who and how can update create or delete documents in your data contract. So and it opens a lot of cases what you can implement. For example, uh, you don't want to allow some
Mm-hmm.
people, to create documents in your data contract. It should be able to, for example, you have a group of administrators who will be able to update these blocks as well, for example, in your Jamba application or something like this.
Yeah, of course.
So a lot of wish list is pretty big at the moment, and we are actively creating bounties in incubator with these features, and the easiest way I think to contribute is to join incubator and
Mm-hmm.
claim bounties. Uh, we are going to increase the number of the protocol related bounties,
Yeah.
and but to work on protocol, the skills what required at the moment is you need to know JavaScript and have experience working in a browser and Node.js environment.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you also need to be familiar with script at least a bit, and just at least basic stuff. Uh, and probably the most difficult part, you just need to study code in our repositories in ZPP, Drive, and DAPI, because we have a lack of specs at the moment,
Yeah.
because we're always in rush, and we just don't have time to write proper specs which we can publish for, and that's a problem that we want to solve as soon as possible, even before like mainnet release.
Mm-hmm.
We have some plans for this, and we're going to introduce actually one more position, uh, open position, open role, like technical writer, and find more people for Jeremy.
Yeah.
This for I mean the fees, and who could help us with this documentation. It's a
Mm-hmm.
big point right now. So it's probably the most biggest blocker right now to contribute to protocol, that you just need to see it and read the code. And all platform guys will be happy to help. So you can ask any questions regarding the protocol, how it works, on the dev Discord. Also, since we started to work actively on tenderdash, which written in Go,
Mm-hmm.
uh, the plenty of things what you can do for tenderdash. Uh, from just for top of my head, right now there are many the unit and integration tests needed, which needs to written down, because we changed some core logic a lot there in tenderdash, and for that you need to be experienced in Go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear a lot of demand for Go as well. Yeah.
So regarding languages, JavaScript and Go, that's what we need.
Yeah.
That's
JavaScript and Go, but the technical writer thing is the big one, which, I wish I could, because I'm a good writer, but I'm not technical, so I'll let someone else who's a little more towards that. But it was a funny comment just now. Dash is my girlfriend. They're saying about, you know, what was it?
Actually,
My girlfriend misses me. I'm like, shut up. I'm watching Dash updates. It's like, yeah. I think so. Yes. Well, I think that might be a good time to start wrapping the whole thing up. Um, so, yeah, this has been a great chat. Thanks so much for coming on. It's I can see by the reaction of a lot of people that a lot of people are very pleased to hear a lot of this kind of stuff. It's like to a great extent, there's just like some fuzzy idea of what's being built, and then oh, is it late? Oh, it's taken too long, and that's it. But then when you actually start hearing about how things were built, why they're built this way, what are the specific things that need to be done in here, and then of course we start talking about the fantastic heavenly utopia of post MVP and all that kind of stuff. And I think it gets people very interested. Yeah, so thanks everyone for watching. Thanks everyone for jumping in the super chat. And yeah, we had a good amount of people on Odysee too. That was nice. Now it's time for this thing we call the after party, which is just like this, except much more informal, not recorded, and anyone can join. So you go to the Dash Discord, not the Dash Talk Discord anymore, just the Dash Discord, as if there's only one. I mean, there's a developer one too, but you go to staydashy.com, and then that gets you into the Discord, and then you just start asking around. Where's the after party? How do I get into the after party? Is Ivan in the after party? No, it's two ladies in bed. Poor guy. So
Actually, I will join for sure, and I wish I will be able to explain more in details what we are doing like before MVP, how MVP will look like, and talk, in more detail to all these questions. And I would love to say thank you for like all people who is trying to build this platform. I know it's not really stable at the moment, and thank you very much for your efforts and for your development, your feedback. It's really valuable for us, and we do our best to release as soon as possible on Mainnet, and we just don't want to release the thing which won't work. You understand it. So, and we so please be patient, and we doing pretty smart trade-offs, what we can postpone, what's super needed right now, and yeah, so we do our best, guys. No worries.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, thanks for coming on. We will. Yes, sorry.
And I believe it's pretty good tradition to give you guys the New Year present every year.
Yeah.
So it was Evonet, then testnet. This year it will be Mainnet. So
yeah,
we will release for sure. And we have no options.
Yes, for sure. Something will be there, even though it's like, oh, everyone lost all their money right away. But no, it's not going to be that way. But yeah, so thanks everyone for tuning in. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you in the after party. And if not, I'll see you in 2 weeks or just next week for the rundown. So bye-bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye.